everybody, my name is Mars, you can call me MG if you would like, and welcome to a video that probably won't be very long for you to watch, but I know it's going to be a long effort for me to film and edit, so you guys better appreciate this. This video is me updating you guys on my TBR game. If you didn't know, for the past year, I've been playing a TBR game involving this deck of cards. This is the Adventures Tarot Empress deck by Weirdworks. It's called Tarot. It's not a tarot deck, it's an oracle deck. A little bit weird, but whatever. It's a D&D inspired oracle deck, and I've been using these cards to pick my reads every single month. And I have been doing it where I roll a die to see how many I do. In the new year, we're simplifying it a little bit. I put a poll up on my Instagram story and I was like, help me decide something, and the options were 3, 4, or 5, and most of the votes were for 4, so at least to start out, we are just going to be doing 4 polls every month. I figure just keeping it the same number and a lower number would help me feel a little bit less stressed out about my reading. Not that I've been feeling super stressed about it, but I've got a lot of obligation type reads coming up in the next year, and they're all reads I'm excited for, and they're ones that I want to get to. So I figure if I make this a little bit easier on me, I'll actually have time to read everything that I want to, and maybe get a little bit of mood reading in each month. But there's that change, and then I've also adjusted some of the prompts for the cards. I'd say most of them have stayed the same, but maybe like a quarter of them I think I've changed the prompts for. So we're gonna go through each card and just talk about what prompts they are now. Let's just get into it. Actually, one more thing. There are 3 types of cards in this deck. So there are like hero cards, which come in pairs. It's the same exact card, just with a different colorway. And for those, there are 2 prompts assigned to the card. So what happens if I pull one of those cards in a month, I get to decide which prompt I get to use, and then if I have the same card but the other colorway comes up in the same month, then I have to use the prompt I haven't already chosen. Then there are like enemy cards, where it'll be like the dragon, and then the 2 of dragons, 3 of dragons, 4 of dragons. And for those ones, I have tried to group together similar prompts, and I just, whichever one I pull, that's the prompt I get. And then the 3 special cards are just ones at the end, and we'll get there. I'll explain what they are then. So the first card in the deck is the Bard, and the prompts for this card are either I put a playlist on shuffle and whatever song comes up, I pick a book based on those vibes, or I can pick a romance. Now, my original prompt list, I had assigned one of the sets of enemy cards with different romance, like tropes or genres. That wasn't really working out for me, so I decided to just lump them all together and make them one of the bard prompts, because, you know, bards tend to be the romancers in the D&D world. Then we have the Ranger, and the prompts for these cards are an author's debut or a long title, and for that I am considering a title long if it is 4 or more words. Then we have the Monk, which I love this one. This is one of my favorite cards in the deck. I think they're so gorgeous. They're all beautiful, but like I really like the Monk cards. The prompts for this one are a book that's part of a duology, or a book where I don't physically own the rest of the series, or I guess digitally own, because I do own ebooks that are part of a series. But yeah, those are my options for the Monk. And then for the Fighter, the prompts are a hyped book, or a social media scroll, or social media find. I don't have to like scroll through YouTube and pick the first book I see. I'm allowed to like look through a couple of things and decide on one, but those are the options. And then for the Cleric, the options are a book by my favorite author or a beautiful book, and those are the prompts for this because the Cleric is the class that I play most of the time in D&D, so I just figured I would make these ones a little bit more special. The next class is the Rogue, and I feel like I'm like hunched over while doing this, but that's because I just want to make sure you guys see me and the cards. But the prompts for the Rogue are a book that's out of my comfort zone, or a book in a genre that I don't usually reach for, which are kind of similar prompts, but they are distinct. Then we have the Barbarian, which is another really fun card. I like the colors on these ones a lot. These prompts are a heavy book or a book with a weapon on the cover, which I think fit the Barbarian very well. Then we have, if I can pick them up, we have the Druid, whose prompts are a translated book or a book with a plant on the cover. Again, very druidy. For the Wizard, we have either a nonfiction book or a craft book, and I know that craft books are nonfiction, but if I decide on the nonfiction, I won't pick a craft book for that, because then I would just pick the craft book. So nonfiction could be like a self-help book or a memoir or something along those lines. Then we have the Paladin, and the Paladin's prompts are a book club pick or a book for a readathon or reading challenge. And I put readathon and reading challenge together because I do have reading challenges going on every month of next year, but I don't think I'll be doing a readathon every month. So if this comes up, I want to give myself a little bit more wiggle room. Then we have the Warlock, and these prompts are a book you would find on a school curriculum or a book that I have personally been recommended, which actually Violet from the channel Writing Violet just sent me a long list of book recommendations, so I am very stocked up on answers to that prompt, so we'll see if I can pull the Warlock in the new year. The last of these class cards are the Sorcerer, and for these ones, my prompt options are a book from my 24 in 2024 reading list, so many 20s, or a book from my 30 by 30 list, so one of those. There's quite a bit of overlap on those two lists, but not as much as you would think. Then after the base class cards, we get the first of the enemy cards, and that is the Adversary. This is the only one that has a set of 6. The other ones all have sets of 4. So these are kind of generic enemies, I guess. And I've gone for prompts that are like a little bit less favorable. So if I pull the Adversary, that is a second chance author. The Two of Adversaries is a book that I soft DNF'd. 3 is less than a 3.0 on Goodreads. 4 is a book that I'm scared that I won't like. 5 is a book with very mixed reviews, and the 6 of Adversaries is a book that I forgot was on my TBR. So that's these ones. And then we have the rest of the class cards or hero cards or whatever you want to call them, minus one that comes at the end, but we will get there. First up is the Mystic, and the prompts for this card are a comic book or a manga. Then we have the Blood Hunter, another gorgeous card, and this is either the latest purchase / latest acquirement, because I don't always purchase books, sometimes I get them like for free or gifted. So the last book that I received in some way, or a book that was a cover buy. Then for the Artificer, the prompts are magical realism book or a steampunk book. For the Ally, the prompts are a book written by an author tuber or a self-published book, because we want to support our fellow self-published authors and our fellow author tubers. Then we have the Companion. Ooh, these ones are sticking more than the rest. The Companion is either a friend's favorite book, or I just outright let a friend pick a book for me. And then finally we have the Familiar, and the prompts for this are a book that has an animal companion, or I let my pets pick. So I have 2 cats, Chloe and Gremlin. I don't know how I would let them pick a book for me, because I don't think I've pulled this card the entire year, but if I pull these, I will let one of my cats pick a book for me. And getting back to the enemy cards, the first set is the Beast. I love how the eyes look on these ones, but the regular Beast card is a fairy tale retelling. The 2 of Beasts is mythology inspired. The 3 of Beasts is a retelling or a classic, and the 4 of Beasts is an anthology or short story collection. Then we have the example that I used earlier, and that was the dragon. So the dragon card is the shortest book physically owned in terms of length. The 2 is the longest book physically owned. 3 of Dragons is the shortest book owned in terms of height, and the 4 is the tallest book I own. Next up is the Undead. This last pastel one here, probably my favorite card in the entire deck. But the prompts for the 4 Undead cards are a book I've thought about unhauling, a book that I bought secondhand, a book that I got for free, and then for the 4 of Undead, a book that I've owned for too long. And then we have the Ooze cards, which I love oozes in D&D. Oozes are things like jellies or gelatinous cubes. Really fun creatures to play with, but these cards all have to do with colors on books. So the Ooze card is blue or purple cover, the 2 is yellow or green, 3 is black and white, and then 4 is red or orange. The next set of cards is the Aberrations. So for the Aberration card, we have a book set in the future. The 2 of Aberrations is a sci-fi, the 3 of Aberrations is a dystopia, and the 4 of Aberrations is a dark academia. And those are like kind of loosely related. I feel like that might be my loosest association between the cards, but I think they all fit. And after that, we have the plant, which I love. Look at this tiny little mushroom dude, so cute. But the prompts for the plants have to do with where the book is set or where the author is from. So the plant card is a book set in or by an author from South America. The 2 of plants is Europe or Australia. The 3 of plants is Asia, and the 4 of plants is Africa. Then we have the elementals, which you could probably guess have to do with elements being on the cover or in the title. So the 1 of elementals, or just the elemental card, is fire, 2 is air, 3 is water, and 4 is earth. Then we have the constructs, which have to do with when the book was published. So the construct card is published before the 2000s, the 2 of constructs is from 2000 to 2009, the 3 of constructs is 2010 to 2019, and the 4 of constructs is a book published in 2020 or after, so the most recent books. The next set is the Fae, which is another absolutely gorgeous one that ranks up there in terms of my favorites. So the Fae card is a book with a person on the cover, the 2 of Fae is a land animal on the cover, 3 of Fae is a fish or other sea animal on the cover, and the 4 of Fae is a bird or other type of flying animal on the cover. The next set is the Celestials. So for the Celestial card, we have a cosmic word in the title. The 2 of Celestials is stars or moon on the cover. The 3 of Celestials is a book set in space. And the 4 of Celestials is a book with religious vibes. Following that, we have, if I can do this without dropping them, the humanoid cards. So this has to do with age category. So the humanoid is a children's or middle grade book. The 2 of humanoids is a young adult. The 3 of humanoids is new adult, and the 4 of humanoids is an adult book. Next up is the Fiends, which were the collection that had the romance tropes as the prompts, and so I changed them because it wasn't really working. So for them now, we have The Fiend being a standalone book, the 2 of Fiends being the first book in a series, 3 of Fiends being a book that's in the middle of a series, and the 4 of Fiends being a book that's the final book in a series. Then we have the Giants, which have to do with page count. So the Giant card is a book between 1 and 200 pages, the 2 of Giants is 201 to 400 pages, the 3 of Giants is 401 to 600 pages, and then the 4 of Giants is a book that's over 600 pages long. Then we come to the last of the enemy cards, and that is the Monstrosity, and the Monstrosities are all horror genres. So for the Monstrosity card itself, we have a body horror or a slasher book. Then for the second card, the 2 of Monstrosities, we have a psychological horror. The 3 of Monstrosities is a gothic horror, and the 4 of Monstrosities is a cosmic horror. And now we come to that weird bonus like hero card or class card, and that is the Wild Oracle, which was actually made by the people at Weirdworks. So when I bought this, it came with a little QR code that I could scan, and it brought me to the page for how to play a Wild Oracle. And this is a class that uses this actual deck to like do their magic, and it's really cool. And I do want to play it one day, but that day has not come yet. For now, we use this deck just to pick my books to read for the month. So the prompts for the Wild Oracle are random generators. So I could either do a random number generator and count along my TBR to pick a book that way, or I can do a random letter generator and either pick a book that the title starts with that letter, or either the author's first or last name starts with that letter. And then we come to the final 3 cards. These are the like special cards that I mentioned. So first up we have the designer, and this is actually a woman that I met when I bought this deck. So I bought this at PAX Unplugged, which is a like board game convention that happens in Philly every year. So I've gone the past 3 years, and last year when I went is when I bought this deck. And so this is the woman that I talked to and who sold me the deck. She's the one who designed all of the cards. Then we have the developer who was also there, but I didn't get to talk to him. And this is actually the only card with a male figure on it. Everything else is a female character, which is why it's called the Empress deck. And I'm pretty sure they're working on an Emperor deck, where it's the other way around and it's all male characters. Anyway, I don't know if I said what the designer was. If I didn't, the designer prompt is a comp title for one of my projects. Then for the developer, the prompt is that one of the Chaos Queens gets to pick a book for me. I know I had a prompt that was a friend pick, but the Chaos Queens are a little bit more special than that, so they get their own little prompt. And then finally, we have the Dungeon Mistress. Look at how gorgeous this is. So stunning. And this is a free pick, because of course, the Dungeon Master, or Dungeon Mistress in this case, they get to do what they want. So if I get this card, I get to pick any book at all that I want. So we have finally made it through all of the cards. Oh my gosh, I feel like I've been filming for eons, but I'm so excited to be playing with these new prompts. In the new year, you will see my January TBR at the end of this month, so look forward to that. But for now, that is the end of this video. If you've enjoyed it, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel for more content, and that way I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye, everyone.